welcome. Thanks for joining us for our August. We're a little late on our August, but it's fine. We've had a few setbacks and so forth.
A day too late, not a big
It's
deal.
fine.
And we're in person. We took the extra effort to be in person, so I think they're cool with it.
So a few quick things though, Mr. Tim, you're about to be a father times 2 here soonish.
Yeah.
Any day now.
Yeah, I'm just monitoring my phone. I can get a phone call any minute now. So
Bags are packed, ready to go.
Yeah, having a little girl, so we're excited, man. Awesome. We're excited.
All right, so if you don't hear from Tim for a few days, he's probably having children.
I will send pre-approval letters from the hospital.
I've done that before. Yeah, I've done that before too. I'm not sure I'm proud of it, but I've done it before. I'm not delivering the baby. So
I know, exactly. Yeah, if I have some downtime, might as well.
Didn't go well. So another thing we're going to do is at the very end here, we're going to give away a Tim Sisson hat. Well, actually, it's an us hat. It's both hat, but it's really cool. We did this at our recent baseball game. We had clients went to a Nats game.
Yeah.
And
it was before the sell-off.
It was a weird double header-ish. Like, right? Because there was a game the day before that there was an incident, so they cut the game short.
Correct.
So we ended up getting like...
It was a twofer.
It was a twofer.
Yeah.
So they finished the first one, and I can't remember now. The Nats won that.
They lost the first one because they were already down a lot.
And then they came back and won the second game.
They won the second one, and then they sold all their players away.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, they wanted us to see the game before they did all that.
That's right. We did see Scherzer pitch. It was one of his last.
It was a fun one. So
that's good.
And we do that. We're gonna start doing this annually. I think that was a pretty fun one. So
I really enjoy it.
So yeah,
baseball guys.
stay with us. We do some fun stuff. We do a lot of fun stuff.
Yeah.
So today we're going to talk a little bit about the state of the market as far as our buyers are concerned. We have our lender, Mr. Tim Sisson, here as well. So I think, and you and I both agreed with it a little bit, that slowing down a little bit.
It feels that way.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think, you can comment on this, I don't necessarily think that the density in listings is slowing down. Buyers reaching out hasn't slowed down. I think that buyers under contract has kind of stabilized a little bit. It's not quite as crazy. And it could be because of vacation time. We're in the doldrums of the summer, and then people kind of take a break and then maybe pick back up as soon as school starts and some other things. So that could be it. It certainly seems that way, and it's been that way consistently over the last few years, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, the buyer burnout is what a lot of experts are calling it.
Yeah.
Where they're taking a few days off, or a week off, or 2 weeks off, trying to get their kids all set up, buying the school supplies, doing all that stuff. But I think we'll probably pick back up once the kids are off to school and the parents have some time to get back in that MLS and see houses and stuff again. So probably going to be that way.
Yeah, and not necessarily that if a buyer has taken a long time and hasn't found a house yet, that it's not always their fault. But when you have a buyer that makes a decision and is aggressive and puts money forth to secure that home, they're the ones that bought.
They're done. They've been
the ones that are a little bit indecisive. Maybe they are not so aggressive. Maybe they don't have the capacity to be aggressive financially. They're being outbid, unfortunately. So those are the ones that are sometimes lingering a little bit longer. So it's just maybe a word of advice to people that if you want a house, you got to be really aggressive in this market still, even though it's kind of stabilized a little bit.
It is a little bit. A lot of people that I still have need closing help and things of that nature, which is starting to be negotiated a little bit. So we're starting to get some houses that are doing a little closing help. You can bump the price up a little bit and start getting some of those things, and sellers are getting a little bit more negotiable for.
I've had a few recently with closing help. 3%. Sometimes they're paying all closing help. I mean, I guess 5-6 months ago, if you said the words closing help, it was like a curse word, but not anymore. So that's good.
All right, so let's jump into some of the things we've been recently talking about. The biggest thing that I thought I learned new was the appraisal waiver.
Yeah, very, very cool feature, and it's been around for a little while, but it takes, sometimes it takes lenders a little bit longer to find out how to actually execute them. So if you have somebody that's putting more than 10% down, and ideally more than 20% down, we're getting from Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, basically in the system that says you don't need an appraisal. We call it a property inspections waiver or an appraisal waiver, where they say, you know what, you're putting so much money down, we don't necessarily need to verify that the house is worth what you're paying for because you have so much equity off the bat. So the risk factor is no longer there. Versus if you have somebody that's putting 3 or 5% down. Now this is only conventional loans, but if you have somebody that's putting 15-20% down, and we can submit it through the system first and say, hey, we don't need an appraisal. Put that in your offer. Say, hey, listing agent, Mr. or Mrs. Listing agent, we don't need an appraisal on this. We already verified with the lender. That's one less thing they have to worry about. It kind of makes your offer a little bit stronger.
Have you been doing any bridge loans lately?
I have a lot of inquiries about it.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, we don't actually move forward with it. It is available. I think it's just that the terms are people get a little bit worried of kind of taking that last minute lien on that house that they're leaving. So I get that. Sometimes it's you absolutely have to do it moving forward. Not to deter anybody. Just like to be honest that we just don't do them often. It is available.
So it's usually when you have a little bit of equity in the house that you're selling and you're buying that next house, but you don't want that next house to be contingent on the sale of your house. Sometimes you can do a bridge loan, which they'll leverage the house you're selling for some of the funds for the next one, which will help you purchase that next house, but then you got to sell that first one as soon as you get moved in, basically.
Correct. There's a short shelf life to the bridge loan, so as soon as you get into that new home and you put that money down from the bridge loan, you got to focus on selling that last house to pay off the bridge loan and likely pay off whatever other loan you might have on that house. Maybe you owe it free and clear. A lot of times with the bridge loans, people do owe it free and clear, and they're like, look, I have hundreds of thousands of dollars in equity in this house. How can I leverage it? So rather than having to sell and be contingent, that is an option for you.
That's awesome. What is the time frame? Do you happen to know how you got to sell that first house? Is it 60 days or is it like you're moving?
It's a 12-month balloon.
Oh, okay, that's not too bad.
So you have plenty of time, but the word balloon sometimes scares people.
Yeah, well, that because we have those reflexes, but the 2008-ish scare. The balloons weren't.
The fear, what if my house doesn't sell? I mean, then you just have to, you come to that realization, then maybe you have to lower the price, do some things, and be aggressive to pay off that bridge faster. But it's not quite, it's 12 months. I mean, it takes
a little bit. Yeah, you should be able to sell the house in 12 months, and if not, then you're probably priced a little higher. Yeah, something like that. So we always ask, our rates are still in pretty good shape?
Yes, rates are still very, very low. It's one of those things where we maybe expected them to be a little bit higher by now.
Okay.
And there's a lot of different market factors at play. Of course, right now there's some things going on politically overseas, Afghanistan, and some things that has kind of made it so that investors in the stock market and the bond market are kind of holding off to see what's going to happen because sometimes fear will really influence the stock market.
You mean by always? Is that what you mean by sometimes?
Always. That's true, yes.
Yeah, always.
Fear is a big factor in those types of things. So that could, I'm not necessarily looking in my crystal ball, but that could mean that rates will stay low a little bit longer because we're trying to figure out some things politically and overseas. So not to say that they're not going to spike here and there, it might be volatile, but I think we're going to see rates kind of stay this low for the rest of this year, I'd imagine. Yeah.
So with the rates staying pretty low and buyers sometimes needing a little bit of help and so forth, a question I get all the time from not all the time, when I get it is, how long does that pre-approval last?
Yeah, great question. Yeah. So when you first come to us, one of the first things we urge people is to allow us to pull a credit report because the credit score is very important, of course, but also your debts to allow us to see what your buying power is. So from that day that we pull the credit report, that's good for 120 days. That's the longest lasting item. So you have a 4-month clock to find a house, essentially. But if you don't, all we have to do is update that stuff. And we might not even update it right away. If you're not necessarily active in the market, we'll wait till you come back and say, hey, we went to see a house with Billy. I know it's been 6 months since we talked. And I'll say, well, let's just update the credit report. Maybe send me an updated pay stub. And now we've taken that expired pre-approval and we've reactivated it for another 4 months. So that's the technical answer, but it's really more of a gray area that as long as you're willing to update things, you have a pre-approval that will continue to be kind of a rolling pre-approval over the time that you're looking at houses.
And during that time, you don't want to make any big purchases or take any big incomes without it being at least checking in with you.
Right.
You just say, hey, I got a bonus this week, just to let you know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we hope everybody gets bonuses, right?
Exactly.
Raises, please feel free to make more money.
Win the lottery.
Yeah. But those types of things, as long as you just communicate it, you know, or you say, look, my truck blew up. I had to buy another vehicle. I got to be able to get to work. Okay, that's fine. Now you have a $300 car payment. Let's recalculate your pre-approval number before you go and see another house.
Yeah.
So it's just about communication. Of course, the blanket statement is don't buy anything, don't change jobs and things of that sort. Sometimes it's unrealistic. Sometimes things happen. Just let us know what's going on.
Speaking of the changing jobs thing, and we're in a period where like some of these entrepreneurs and some of these local business owners, some have really done very well. I got the question recently that somebody who was in a trade, opened their own business, but hasn't done it for more than 2 years, but is making really good money now. That's still hard to get a loan, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the 2-year mark that's really important for self-employed people, and that's really, so you have your standard Fannie Freddie loan, which is you have 2 years of self-employment and you have 2 years of tax returns, right, to show the profit and loss of that business.
Yeah.
Sometimes business owners, they write off a lot of their income. We certainly understand that. But Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac very, very particular about what your net profit was after all of those. So if you had a gross receipts of $100,000 and you wrote off 50 of it, well, your qualifying income figure is $50,000. Okay, that's the basic explanation.
Yeah.
But there are other programs. We have bank statement loans that allow us to just follow your deposits from the business, and we take a 24-month. Basically average of those deposits, and then there's a calculation as to what we can use for income for that. That's what we call, that's more of a subprime loan, a little bit higher interest rate, but sometimes business owners have to leverage those types of programs.
We'll be putting more money down. Would that be an option to help a little bit?
Well, the bank statement loan is already a minimum 10% down loan, and the rate gets a whole lot better at 20%. So you do need a lot of money to do the bank statement loan to begin with. But if you're looking at a USDA, VA, FHA, any of those standard programs, it's all 2 years. Got to have the 2 years in tax returns. So even though that individual might have been in that trade before, he or she was probably a W-2 employee, and now you have the risk of a self-employment that, an underwriter's looking at to make sure that, because if income is fluctuating, some could be seasonal. You never know. So we have to make sure we get through all those seasons twice. And that they've been able to withstand.
So the reflection. Yeah. So I have a hard time getting loans, being in real estate, because I do. Like, they run me through the ringer, and I have to show this, that, and the other thing. Yep. When we built our house, we had a really hard time. I had a regular teacher salary. I would have been approved right away because it's a teacher salary.
Consistency is important. Yeah.
But not with the real estate income, which is weird. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Is there anything else we wanted to chat about? Anything I missed here today, sir, that you want the good people to know about?
I think it's just important. The reason why you choose a Billy of the Live Local team to represent you as realtors is because you can have a real conversation with them and set expectations. It's so important in this market. Whereas a few years ago, we're like, anybody and everybody come buy a house. You don't need money, all that kind of stuff. You got to communicate.
It's tougher now. Set yourself up for the best kind of loan that looks good for a seller. And knowing a lot of the agents too, which really helps.
That's important, being well connected. But set the expectation up front that you're not going to find a 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom house in Huntingtown for under the, you got to know what's realistic.
You may find it, but it might not be livable. It might be like, oh, that's a lot of black mold. That's good.
Right.
How do you feel about that? All right, awesome. So we have some fun, and we're doing a lot of the local events too, which also helps.
Yeah.
We had a few people recently move from out of town, and I was able to just rattle off a list like, oh, you gotta check this out in this place, and this place, and this place, and this place.
Yes.
Which is even funnier is I sold a house recently to somebody who moved to my hometown where I grew up.
Really?
And I was able to rattle off a list like, oh, you need to go to these 20 places, and so I can do it anywhere. We can do it. You gotta try these places out in little Erie, PA.
Wings and pizza.
Wings. Nah, I gave him a bunch of wing places. Yeah. They're like, wow, you do a lot of eating and drinking. yes, we do.
I love it. That's the best.
All right, good. So here at the end, we are going to do our giveaway and our sweet hat. We've got a few of these, actually, so we can do this as a pretty consistent thing.
Nice little baseball player on there. What's his name? Tim? Is that Tim or is that Billy?
It's Tim Griffey Jr.
Okay. Oh my goodness! Wow.
So there you go, Tim Griffey Jr.
I love it.
So our question is going to be, and we'll give you 5 days is probably a good time frame without looking it up because they might have the information, but probably not. It's probably harder to find.
If you look hard enough, the
might be tough.
Internet is infinite.
So we want to know the average sale price of homes in Calvert County in the month of July. Whoever's closest gets to win the Tim Griffey Jr. hat. And we'll drop it off or find you or whatnot. So, and then be on the lookout because we have our August Scratchery event coming up again. And then August 28th, we're doing the drawing in person this year.
Yes.
At Brick.
As long
11
as I'm
to 1
in the hospital. You think my wife would be cool if I leave?
We'll put like a big cardboard cutout with the Tim Griffey Jr. hat on top, and you'll be there in spirit. It's fine.
Yeah.
You got a few people that are working with you as well now, so I mean, you have a little bit of reach that you didn't have before.
I could send a surrogate. I could. But yes, Brick on the 28th will draw the Scratcher winners. That's very cool.
Yeah, it'll be fun. So make sure you're following us on social media. We have, I think we're up to like 25 or so businesses. A lot of people are jumping on board still. A lot of, hey, do you have any more room type things? And we do. And that's why we kind of hold off before we send these the winter cards out and the cards. I call them winter cards. I'm a positive guy. Winter cards get sent out because we want to make sure we have a total number of businesses involved. So we're going to get those out this week. We're going to kind of close the door on the local businesses and make sure to add their list maybe to next year or so forth. So.
Cool. Yeah, that's a great idea. I love it.
It's fun. We have a lot of fun. So be sure the average sale price in the month of July in Calvert County, respond to this message anywhere you see us in social media, or you can email salmonsrealtor@gmail.com or give me a text, 410-708-8858 or whatever.
If it's to the penny, I think
Maybe a little bit off.
But hey, good for you.
Resourceful. All right, sir. Thank you for your time once again, and we'll probably see you next month.
Oh, yeah,
You'll just have big
for
bags
sure.
under your eyes, and your hair will be all disheveled, and you'll be wearing a T-shirt that's all cut off and baby puke on the shoulders and stuff.
I won't be wearing this, but that's for sure. It might be on Zoom, might be in person. We'll see. I'm looking forward to it.
We'll do it in your backyard,
There we
so
go.
that way you can, in between naps,
I'll just hold the baby.
do whatever you got to do.
Yeah.
Baby style.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, sir.
Thanks, buddy.
All right. We'll talk to you soon.